Hey guys, so let me apologize first for two things. The sound outside, it's getting to hear all these little crickets to this kind of late, and possibly the microphone. I'm not sure how it's going to react. I feel like it's probably making noise whenever it moves. I don't know, but I got a new one and I wanted to see how it worked. It's just a cheap one, but anyway, should be good enough for what we're doing here just to get a good test. But the main point of this is I'm making a video here for Lumatrix, and I want people to actually understand this character because I think there's a lot of misunderstanding and lack of, I guess, testing or looking into this character, so people don't really know what they're looking at or what they're doing. He is probably the most simple character with a decently long. I don't think this is super long, but it's a decently long explanation of the character, the abilities and stuff like that. Um, he comes down to like three things: his evade, his cunning, and his miss mechanic. There is also, if you're trying to actively avoid non-damage over time debuffs, he does have an endurance that you would want to pay attention to as well. So, but if you're playing him correctly, it won't matter. You'll have max endurance the whole time, and the duration of debuffs, they'll just fall off essentially. It'll be at 100%. It says max 3 here, but he starts with an indefinite, and the other 3 give him 25% endurance. Another thing I want to stress here is do not confuse endurance with cunning. For some reason, I kept doing that. Maybe other people are as well, but in case of you are, just remember the endurance is for the debuffs, and cunning is, just think of cunning as crit rating and crit damage. And it's sickening. So, this is a rank 4, by the way, so just keep that in mind, but at the lower ranks, he still hits extremely hard. But yeah, just for every one of his cunnings, he gets 40% crit rating and damage. And he can get 8 of them. When he's at max, he guarantees crits. He doesn't need to be at max, let me tell you, for him to be guaranteeing crits. They'll be called guaranteed crits, but when you got like 6 or 7, you're hitting crits, dude. There is diminishing returns on this, so you'll have 3 or 4 and then not crit. That can happen, and also ability accuracy of other champions or people that influence the ability accuracy will mess with that. But as long as you're not facing a mutant in particular, you'll be fine. So I wanted to make this simple for you guys. So the most simple way for me to explain this character is he relies heavily on playing a very weird style. How would I explain it? Like, you're just holding heavy and then you're running in. Think of him like a skill juggernaut. Yeah, a skill juggernaut. Let's say a skill juggernaut. So his duped ability, by the way, honestly, I have no idea what the first part of this does. This part right here makes, I don't know how long it lasts. It says always active. So when a non-damaging debuff expires on him, he passively reduces incoming damage by 30-something%, whatever. Is that just for at the end? Like, I don't know. You don't need the dupe of this character. But when he is duped, he does have a nice little ability here, so the opponent's instant damaging effects have their ability accuracy reduced by a percentage, and it's double against science champions. This helps for like Photon or something like that. I think he was made as a direct counter for her. I'm 99% sure he was made as a direct counter for her. Because he does have a tracking passive, so he bypasses miss against non-mutant characters. So when you get the evade, which you're going to get at the start of the fight when I show you how to play this character, you're going to instantaneously evade when the fight starts. And then you're going to, every time you hold the heavy to get an evade, you're going to get an invisibility passive for 3 seconds. And it's paused during your attacks. But the enemy will throw a special and hit you with it. This is something I had to learn, obviously, when I was just getting them. Maybe some of you have already learned this, but yeah, do not go to throw your heavy like you normally would, or what's about to be normal from what I'm going to show you, which is basically running at the enemy and then holding your heavy in the middle of a combo. That's going to be the new normal for you if you're using this champion. So yeah, you do that. You basically, every time you cycle through a evade into a miss, you're going to gain cunning. I don't know where it says it exactly, but that's how it works. And you'll also, there it is, so performing an evade consumes the evade charge, grants a cunning. He also, performing an evade also inflicts a stun on them. So you use it, you run at them, you hold your heavy again, but you instantaneously release it, so you can hurry up and get your evade back, and you repeat this process multiple times until you establish around 7 or 8 of his gunning passives, which is how he gets all his insane damage. It's not the majority part, but I'll just say that's how he gets the majority of his base damage. Let me put it like that, because he has a fury, but I'll get to that in a minute. So, like I said, guys, just run in, evade. Your miss will be active, so you run at them as long as they don't have a bar of power. And also, by the way, another thing that's going to help you is that when you do have the miss active, they have, and you throw your heavy, they gain about 20 to 30% less power. Where is it? I don't want to give you the wrong number here. 20%. So, yeah, 20% less power, and while you're invisible, that extends to all hits. So if you have, on his L3, he has a really long invisible, that doesn't go away on heavies. If you're using that, they're just not going to gain much power the entire time, especially if you're using the parry and stuff like that. But likely you're going to play him. I wouldn't suggest playing him that way, though. I would not play for the L3. I'll show you it just so you can see it. The only way you would play for the L3 is if you absolutely need invisible, because while he's invisible, he is stun immune, and what was the other thing? He pauses stuff, and he's stun immune, but I swear there was something else. Oh, his cunning is 100% more, 100% potency, which you guys are getting, if you guys just do the numbers real quick in your head, you guys are getting into like ridiculous damage territory. And you can understand why this character is really misunderstood, I feel like, and looked at as a defender, when honestly all you need is a Cyclops or the ability to bypass miss to deal with this character effectively, because when he is on defense, he'll throw his L1 or his L2 and he'll trigger invisibility. So that's when you'd once you get past that, and you would obviously not want to do it against a dupe character with any champion that does instant burst damage type effects, because it doesn't hurt him as much. or it won't be as likely to activate some of the burst damage that you're gonna get. Anyway, so like I said, you run in, activate the evade, activate the miss, repeat the process over and over again, and you're just gonna keep gaining charges. That's why he's so simple, guys. Like, there's no huge explanation here. The specials, you throw them if you feel like it. You can, let's say you're in a fight. I'm trying to think of a situation where you maybe have to, maybe the enemy can bypass evade or miss. And in that situation, you can gain your cunning and stuff like that by using your specials. As you can see here, you gain one when you throw the first one. This also adds on more because if you throw, let's say you have 2 bars of power and you throw the L1, you're going to get an extra invisible, or if you have 3 bars and you throw the L2, you're going to get 4 cunning off of that, so that's huge if you're dealing with that. Most fights, I'm not going to lie to you, I don't even reach the L2 for most fights, but let's say they're strong enough. This is where he gets his Fury passive that lasts 20 seconds. If he's unblockable, he will activate another Fury passive. Now, he can get 2 max only. You can't just keep doing it. So, but yeah, there's pauses on this. Plus, there is a way. There's a synergy he has with his other idol champs, Eagles, whatever, where if you bring the Mystic one, he'll get unblockable every time he ends with a light attack. So yeah, that's one way to activate the 2 Furies. Otherwise, yeah, you just, like I'm going to show you now, you can just do it. You don't really need her, but that is they are fantastic together. They work well together. Obviously, Kabam designed them that way, but yeah, so all you have to do to get the unblockable, let me see. So you do the L1. While you're invisible, you throw your L1, and he gets an unblockable for a couple seconds, and then you would throw your L2. So you'd want to have 3 bars of power when you activate it. So it does take a little bit of a ramp up, but I swear there was another way without ending with light attack. I could be wrong though. I don't think you can get the unblockable any other way. It's just so sad that they never survived long enough for me to figure this out. Oh, by the way, so another important thing for you to know is that if you do decide to play him a different way, and you do the evade and you trigger the invisibility, if you do not knock the opponent down with a heavy before the invisibility ends, you will get a cooldown for 20 seconds. But you can remove that cooldown by throwing a special heavy or knocking the opponent down in any way. So yeah, just, you don't want to do that. You don't want to get to that point, but if you have a stubborn enemy, then yeah, that's how you can do it. It's less likely that you'll be able to keep the Furies up that way if you're constantly going on cooldown, but yeah, you can make it work. That's where you throw in the L3, but this is more just a basic guide, I guess. I even extended it further than what I wanted, but I mean, long story short, I could have just started the video and said, look, you just bring this character in, you hold heavy at the beginning of the fight, you just hold down with your right thumb, and you're going to evade. Unless they can bypass evade, you're going to evade every single time, and immediately, then you can immediately run in, go with your invisible, heavy attack again, hold heavy again, let them run at you, evade, miss, evade, miss, evade, miss. Just keep doing that, you win the game. So I'm going to show you how to fight with them now, and yeah, I'm going to turn the mic off just in case it is distorting or anything like that. because there's going to be noises like that. So I have no boost active, I have no synergies active. I could show you them, I suppose. So he is brand new, so he obviously doesn't have many, but like I said, he has one with Isophene and Selvarge. So whenever he does the 4th light attack, he gets that unblockable, which you can understand now. For 2 reasons that's good, because he's unblockable for 1, but then he also can activate the double fury. So also with Rimtraw here, he gets when the opponent evades, he will gain his invisibility passive for 3 seconds, which will make him stun immune. And yeah, it's just a really good cover, just in case you're fighting someone who evades a lot and shit like that. Since he's not really like a direct counter for evading, he doesn't have anything, which is probably the worst thing about him is as a skill champion, and why people probably were turned off to him, is he doesn't have much utility as far as stuff like that. He's just pure damage. He's, in my eyes, he's like Juggernaut mixed with Shang-Chi, but just more damage. But yeah, if his invisibility is on cooldown, he'll remove the cooldown first, which is, yeah, you're not going to want to play like that. Against Science Champions, his personal endurance passive also reduces the duration of poisons, so he can become poison immune. He is immune to bleed and rupture, which is very unique. Yeah, I don't know if you need like a rupture immunity, you know, that werewolf character, or like, I don't know, there's quite a few that have rupture now, but yeah, he has that, and bleed, which is great. You wouldn't think he was bleed immune just as a skill champion. Not many are bleed immunes. They usually shrug, but yeah, he doesn't shrug anything. He just reduces durations of non-damaging debuffs. Sadly, it's not all debuffs. I wish it was, but he would be absolutely broken. These are his numbers, as you can see. Why I have crit rating is beyond me right now. I'm actually wondering right now, what the shit do I have crit rating active for on this character? I think I've had it since the beginning. Let me see. So you would not want to use crit rating on this character. You could go, I mean, you probably wouldn't want to, but you could do block proficiency. What would you want to do? You could do block penetration, because there's going to be a lot of circumstances where you're hitting into their block just before you hold your heavy. And crit damage. I don't know how much this is actually going to help him, to be honest with you. I'd be curious to know how much it would actually do anything. So it might be special damage. That might be the best thing for him. I can't change it now, but yeah. That's actually hilarious. That tells you how much I didn't know about him. I just put crit rating. But yeah, guys, enjoy the video. Thank you.